They've been serving up burgers for 2 decades. Now Grilled is handing the tongs to you.
We're launching grilled patties at Coles.
Hello, welcome to Media Watch. I'm Julia Baird, filling in for Linton Besser, who is off for a couple of weeks. And tonight, a treat for fans of that fast food staple of minced meat slapped between 2 buns.
The burger chain launching its first ever retail range to capitalise on the fake-away fad, helping Aussies recreate Friday night favourites for a fraction of the price.
Yes, a burger chain and a supermarket giant linking arms to sell ground beef. Seven considered the new deal national news, running it coast to coast. And coincidentally, the presenters were all reading from similar television scripts.
More families are cooking at home to save, and now burger night has been given an upgrade.
Thanks to Grilled, burger night has just been given an upgrade.
Burger night has been given an upgrade.
The news package was jammed with appetising close-ups of the finely shredded bovine. Not the made-at-home version, mind you. As well as lingering camera shots of the burgers in their new habitat, Coles supermarket baskets, with a passing mention of other brands following the same trend. There was also a Coles spokesperson on hand to explain that the supermarket was, in fact, doing us a favour and not just trying to flog marked-up burger patties.
We're giving our customers exactly what they want. They're telling us that they're eating more at home in order to save.
While the Grilled founder was making sure people understood dining in would still not be quite as good as dining out.
No one can cook like our guys in the restaurants. They're superstars.
And if all this had you feeling a little like you wandered out of the news bulletin and into an advertisement, well, you wouldn't be far off, because next morning, Coles and Grilled dropped the pretence and released its promotional news pack, including that same Coles spokesperson.
Today's announcement delivers on exactly what our customers have been telling us. They're looking to eat more at home in order to save.
And uncannily, the same cheeky quote from the Grilled founder.
No one can cook like our guys in the restaurants. They're superstars.
Nine also cooked up its own version of the story using strikingly similar shots, but in a somewhat more nuanced report.
Packs of 4 will go for $12.50, compared with Coles classic burgers for $8.50. So the brand comes at a hefty premium.
With added protein from an independent expert. In Perth and Melbourne, Seven were even claiming the fake-away trend was whipped up by Grilled itself.
A new fad has arrived. It's called Fake Away, and it's the brainchild of a burger giant trying to help families save from the comfort of their kitchens.
Yes, a new fad from those genius Grilled marketeers. Only Seven should have known its fake-away scoop was hardly new, running an item on it about 3 years ago, and again in 2023 on Sunrise, featuring a branded Coles cook to show us how it's done.
So fake-away is becoming a real trend. Bit of cooking at home, but making it feel like takeaway.
We asked Seven about its culinary news item. It told us the segment was all about helping families.
So many Australians can't afford to stretch their pay packets for things like the odd takeaway treat for their children and feel guilty doing so in the current cost of living crisis. This story gave them affordable options.
Now, we know it can be difficult to resist the temptation of cheap, pre-packaged television news. But can we suggest that next time Seven's news chiefs are deciding what to plate up for their flagship evening bulletin, they offer their audiences a somewhat more balanced diet of, say, actual news? And now to a page one splash out of Melbourne, which took aim at one of the state's most senior politicians.
Libs courting controversy.
Exclusive.
Colleagues raise questions with Deputy on relationship.
The deputy in question was Liberal Deputy Leader and former professional tennis player Sam Groth. And the questions revolved around how and when he began dating his wife Brittany, with a very serious and, it should be said, pretty grubby insinuation at the heart of the story.
Mr Groth and Brittany have admitted they got together when he was coaching at Templestowe Park Tennis Club in 2011. At the time, he would have been 23 or 24 and she would have been 16 or 17.
Which, the Hun told its readers, might make Sam Groth a sex offender.
Under Victorian law, it is a criminal offence to engage in a sexual relationship with someone under the age of 18 if they are under your care or supervision.
In Victoria, the age of consent is 16. But if Groth was teaching Brittany tennis, it becomes 18. So, did the second highest ranking state Liberal take advantage of a teenage Brittany? Well, the Hun laid out all its evidence, which included a previous interview where Brittany recounted first meeting Sam Groth at the tennis club and becoming hitting partners.
I was like, OK, nice to meet you. Cool. And over time, we ended up hitting with each other and connecting from there.
And a second interview from 2017 where Sam gave a similar, nondescript account of the couple's early days.
I was coaching at a club and Britt was playing a little bit there and, yeah, sort of met during that time.
Yes, that was the entire case. But the real meat of the story was, we were told, the political upset the accusation had prompted inside the Liberal Party, which the Herald Sun claimed might be weaponised in next year's election.
The Herald Sun understands Mr Groth has been quizzed by a number of colleagues on the issue.
This was news to Sam Groth, who later said he'd had no such conversations. And just how many of these numerous colleagues were quoted in the Herald Sun's story? Not a one. Well, that is, except for the leader of the party, who had this to say.
Politics is a dirty business, but this attack has hit a new low in public life.
Groth's colleagues did, however, show up to give their thoughts on the record to waiting television reporters.
I think it's a despicable story. Absolutely disgraceful to attack someone's wife. Absolutely disgraceful.
With Groth furious that his personal life had become the subject of public debate.
My wife and kids should be off limits.
Amid the storm, the Herald Sun doubled down on its exclusive with another serve the following day, reporting Sam Groth was angry with Labor for making hay with the allegations. And the day after that, reporting a legal threat, but burying the fact that the threat was made against the Herald Sun itself, while quoting Herald Sun editor Sam Weir, who defended his paper's reporting.
We stand by our reporting on a matter of public interest, covering important issues which could have a major impact on Victorian politics in the lead-up to an election.
But, as all these blokes argued amongst themselves, what of the woman at the centre of the story, the apparent victim? Sam Groth's now wife of 7 years, Brittany Groth. So what was her version of events? Did anyone even bother to check? She says she was never asked and had to release her own statement.
The timeline they have suggested is baseless and false. I was in a relationship with someone else until November 2011. I met Sam in September that year. We did not engage in any conduct that would even arguably fall within the provisions quoted by the Herald Sun.
And as for the Herald Sun's conduct...
To speculate salaciously about my personal life from 14 years ago when I was a teenager is not journalism. Their conduct has amounted to pressure on me to disclose intimate details, including when I first had sex with my husband, to defend myself against fiction. It is despicable.
This, of course, was a denial the Herald Sun might have been interested to know before pressing publish. And a denial, as far as we can see, that they've still not bothered to print. One of the few enduring conventions of political reporting in this country is that politicians' private lives and families are off limits unless there is a demonstrably strong public interest. So, did the Herald Sun commit a cardinal sin? For some, the answer was an emphatic yes, with the Age's Chip Legrand writing...
In tennis parlance, the stories didn't land just wide of an ethical line. They lobbed 7 rows back in the stands. Any woman, even one married to a politician, should be safe in thinking their teenage sexual history is off limits.
And in an entirely predictable outcome, the Hun's foray into the Groth's private lives may end up costing it a pretty penny, with Sam and Brittany Groth now planning to sue the paper for defamation, with this plain-speaking letter from Groth's legal counsel landing on the Hun's desk.
It would be too kind to describe the article as gutter journalism because it did not amount to journalism at all.
We asked the Herald Sun about its story, but our emails went unanswered. The intrigue and machinations of the political classes are, of course, worthy subjects of media scrutiny. But when the accusations stray into private lives and families, the burden of proof and public interest become all the heavier. The evidence of Sam Groth's apparent indiscretions appear to us speculative at best. And whatever the political justification for the story might be, there really can be no excuse for failing to give the woman at the heart of the story a voice before splashing serious allegations about intimate details of her personal life on page 1, leaving her to defend and debunk the story only after the damage is done. And now to that august social digest of record, the Daily Mail, which has been offering its readers glimpses behind the camel and beige furnishings of society's movers and shakers, with compendiums like this.
Exclusive.
The rock bottom tier list. Society snitches expose fame-hungry desperados who burnt every bridge in town.
And 6 months before that, it was women over 40 who, shockingly, still managed to have social and sex lives.
The young Bondi blondes are seething because these sexy older women are back on top.
Last week, however, the Mail scribes focused their lenses on another social set, whose common bonds were just a tad older and more profound than its usual fare.
Who's who of Jewish high society? Insiders reveal the major players and the young socialites to watch.
Yep, just another clickable listicle, but this time revolving around members of one of the world's oldest monotheistic religions.
With the article, which we've blurred, including names and pictures of some of Sydney's most prominent Jewish real estate agents, athletes, journalists, entrepreneurs and reality TV stars, with the Daily Mail describing it as
the who's who you've all been waiting for.
Only we're not so sure the Daily Mail readers had in fact been waiting for this considered piece of journalism.
Is this necessary?
What's their religion got to do with it?
Seriously? No one cares.
But it turns out there were some who did care, and it was the people who were on that list, some of whom are very public about their religion and some who are not, and some who are not so happy about having their faith, their families and their whereabouts turned to clickbait. One person on the list told us,
my immediate thought was securing the safety of my children. I felt sickened and traumatised, not because I am ashamed of being Jewish, but because of everything that lists of Jews have represented historically and in present-day circumstances.
Another told us,
the only part they left out is where we should go to collect our yellow stars.
While Sky News reporter Caroline Marcus, who's featured on the list, posted this soon after it was published.
The last time my family was on a list was in 1930s, 1940s Europe, and it did not end well for them. Gross.
And, of course, those on the list have good reason to be angry and fearful. The conflict in Gaza has emboldened hate groups, with a significant increase in anti-Semitic attacks and incidents like these. Nazi symbols and graffiti sprayed on houses and cars, including in Sydney's eastern suburbs, where many of the people on this list live. Arson attacks on a childcare centre in Maroubra, while just this weekend, masked neo-Nazis marched through Melbourne's CBD, with a lot of these incidents covered at length by the Daily Mail. And lists like this can, however inadvertently, reinforce harmful stereotypes that fuel anti-Semitism, which can put people in danger. Kaz Ross, an independent far-right extremism researcher, told us,
that particular article is appalling and potentially dangerous. It groups people up on the basis of their religion and portrays them as a successful elite. This creates a hit list of Jews for anti-Semites.
We asked the Daily Mail whether it had thought through the wider political atmosphere and the well-documented rise in anti-Semitism before publishing the piece. Its editor told us,
it's ludicrous to suggest the article was anti-Semitic. It celebrated the Jewish community, used information already in the public domain, and was consistent with our history of society coverage.
But those on the list we contacted felt exposed and scared, not celebrated. We are at a loss to understand how the Daily Mail could have considered it acceptable to produce a list like this in the current climate. And while this may not have been the intention, to be so ignorant of the long and tragic history of identifying, isolating and targeting Jewish people really does beggar belief. And that's all from us tonight. Be sure to check us out on ABC iView as well as YouTube and Facebook. And you can find full statements on our website. And as always, don't forget to send us your tips. See you next week.